Hello and welcome to my new video of coding with Jeppe. Today we'll be going over the process of patching some of the base functions from the game. For this video we'll be making a patch, a very simple patch for the radio, so it doesn't use any battery when you use it. So basically giving you infinite radio battery. So to start out, I'll be adding some references that we'll be needing. All of them can be found within the base files of the server. So I already have them here. We need the mirror, and then we need Unity Engine core module. But just to show you how to find them, I'm gonna go over it. So what you want to do is you want to find your server files. In this case, I just have mine installed directly through Steam. So I just find them in my Steam apps. And then you just go to the data, managed, and you can find them in here. So we need the mirror, which can be found here. And then if we scroll down to U, that's Unity Engine core module. Select the two, and then we add them. And apart from this, to actually make the patch itself, we're gonna need Harmony. Harmony is included in the EXILED download, but if you use a Nugget manager, you can simply search for it. And it's right here, and just get 2.0.2. This just makes it easier to manage your versions and make sure it's installed properly and everything. It takes care of it for you. Now that we have everything we need, we just need to set up our plugin to actually be able to do this. So to make sure our patches don't interfere with each other, if the server gets reloaded or anything, we'll make a patch counter that just changes around the name of our patch every time we make a new patch. Then we also need to define a Harmony instance we'll be using for doing our Harmony patches. I'll just make it public, and to keep it simple, I'll just call it Harmony. And then to make sure we can get it from anywhere but only set it from here, I can just do like this. We won't be using this outside of our main plugin class for now, so it doesn't really matter much. And then we'll make two functions, one for patching and one for unpatching. We can just create them down here below our main functions. And so since they'll only be used from in here, we can just make them private. And to make sure we know if any errors happens during patching, we'll make a try catch. This is just so if we get any exceptions during patching, instead of crashing, we can make it right to the console what's going wrong. And this will just write patching failed and then give the error message. And to begin patching, we'll need to create a new Harmony instance. And to give it a unique name, that way we can easily identify it within the program, because all of the different plugins can make different Harmony patches, and keeping unique names makes them easily identifiable. So for this we could just call it tutorial plugin dot, and then put our instance number. And so by adding the ++ in front of it, it's just gonna increment it every time it creates a new. So it's gonna first increment and then write out the new result. That's what happens when you put it in front. If you put it behind, it would just first print the number and then increment it. And to make sure that we get debug for all messages if anything happens, so we can get a full error message, we can set the debug status of Harmony like this. And here I'm just saving the current debug mode so that we can set it again after we are done patching to what it was before. That way we don't change anything within the Harmony settings. And then to finish off, we can just create a debug message saying that we successfully patched if everything went well. And this line is just using the EXILED debug option to tell if we should show debug messages based on server settings. And actually I placed this on accident. We don't need this since we don't do any templating. And now we just also need an unpatch function. And that's very simple. It's just using our instance from before and then just unpatching anything it has patched. So now we're ready to actually begin making the patch itself. For now it's going to be a very simple patch for the battery just for the sake of this tutorial. So I like to keep everything in nicely named folders because a thing Visual Studio does for us is very nice. Whenever we create a folder, it associates the folder with a namespace. So this is our base namespace, and then in patches it's going to be tutorial plugin.patches. So it's all organized. And we could just create a new class and call this radio patch. It's easy to identify. This is going to be for patching our radio. And when you want to patch anything in the game, an easy way to find what exactly you want to patch is I'm using a program called .peek. You can simply just open any file. So in this case, we'll patch something in the assembly C# file. That's where most of the things you want to patch are located. So by adding this, we can just search for, we want to patch a radio. It's most likely called radio. And so for some reason it didn't show up, which is a bit weird because I know for a fact it's in here. But so if we just look through it in the root namespace, so I'm pretty sure it was located, then we just go to R as in radio. And there we have it, radio. So we can just double click it. Now we have the radio class. I'm guessing it hadn't loaded the assembly C# yet. Well, I'm not sure what's wrong there, but here we have the radio. Then we just look for the function we want to use. And we can see it's used battery. That's most likely the function we want to patch to not use any battery. And so if we want to make it so you never use battery, we can just take this entire function and just clear it out completely. We don't need any of this. So now we know what the name is of the function we want to patch. We know what the name is of the class we want to patch. And we don't care about any of the content of it. So in here we can do harmony patch. And then first we do type of, that's the class we want to patch, and it's just called radio. And then we, to keep it organized, you can do all of this inside one harmony patch, but I like to keep them separate. And then we can do one name of, and that's radio.useBattery. And now we have this class, which needs to be static, and I'll just also make it internal, because you don't ever need to access this from outside of this plugin. And then what we want to make is what's called a prefix. A prefix is basically a patch that's run before this function, and based on our output from the prefix, since it's a boolean, if we return true, it's gonna run this afterwards. If we return false, it's not gonna run this at all. You have different, you can also make a postfix, which is something that's gonna run after this is run, but that's not what we want to do in this case. And something you can also do is, if you do the class name and then 2 underscores instance, it's gonna return the class running the function. So you'll get the exact radio class on the person who's running the function. We're not gonna use this instance, but I'm just gonna leave it here. And then to stop it from running, we simply return false. And this is just gonna make it so none of the use battery code is run. It's the same as just returning instantly all the time. And this in itself should be enough to have patched the battery if we build the solution. Actually, I forgot one thing. So where we register and unregister events, we also need to patch and unpatch. So we just quickly do this. And something I didn't do before, but I actually like to do is, if you do base unenabled and base undisabled, that way you don't clear out any of the default code that's run in these when you overwrite them. What it basically does is, this base includes that it's gonna mention in your console that it successfully loaded the plugin, which is a nice message to have. So now when we build, successfully build, we can open the folder, and we've been building a release. So if we go into bin, release, and find tutorial plugin, then you want to go into your plugins folder of your server and just copy it over. And then you can go and run the server, and we should see that it's successfully patched. We see it's saying waiting for players like normal, and if we scroll through, patches applied successfully, so that's always good. And now we can see, because we have the base, it's gonna say, well, actually not that part, yeah, it's because we have the base, it's gonna say this, so the version made by whoever you put as the author or company, depending on your version of .NET. And now if we go into the server, and now you'll notice, even though it's set to ultra, no matter how long we keep this on for, it's just gonna say battery 100%. And that's basically what the patch is doing. It's preventing the use battery function from running, so it's not gonna decrease the battery time, and we'll just have infinite battery no matter what. So for now it's not possible for anyone to lose battery, and within the function you could make some conditions. You could check for the player ID, you could check for the player class, you can do whatever to check whether or not it should allow the used battery to run like normal. For instance, within the patch we could we know the instance of the battery, and from here we can check certain things. It would probably even be possible to find, yeah, so we can get the class manager, and then we could check maybe we could check the current role, and then we could so we could do an if, and then say if the current role is equals to chaos insurgency, then we say return true, otherwise return false. And now we basically make sure that Chaos can lose battery, but everyone else just has infinite battery. You could also do it the other way around. So you have infinite possibilities to change around how you use the prefix. And that's pretty much it from this video. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.